Good morning, beautiful friends out there in the Ethernet, in the interwebs. It is Melanie coming to you from somewhere outside of the Outer Banks on my way to Norfolk, Virginia today. Why am I taking this drive? Well, I have a story to tell you. It's going to probably be a longer video. I'm hoping it's not too long. However, Friday night, my daughter and I came down with food poisoning. Long story short, my daughter and I came down with food poisoning. She spiked a temperature of 101.6. I threw up. I probably had some kind of a temperature, tossed and turned all night. Our younger two daughters helped to care for our Lily because I was so sick. Stayed up with her, kept her company, watched movies with her. We all slept in till 10 a.m. She then threw up all of the contents of her stomach the night before, and after that proceeded to make a huge downhill progression to not good. She started complaining of severe muscle cramps. I have not taken my children to a doctor for any illness in the last 5 years. We have healed every illness via ginger and turmeric tea, as well as raw turmeric root that they chew and eat, and it helps decrease their pain. For anything that they're working with. So I was giving all of the things, I was doing all of the things that I always do for my children, and she just got worse, and she just got worse, and she kept complaining of muscle cramps, and she kept saying she didn't feel good, and I said, we used hot packs for her legs for the muscle cramps, which is normal after a stomach flu. We used blankets, warm heating blankets to help her, and she kept begging for pain medicine. And I said, something's really wrong. Let's try to get her in the shower. I said, I'll take you in the shower. If that doesn't help you, I'll take you to the doctor. And I couldn't get her to walk up the stairs. When I got her all the way up the stairs, and she looked like an old lady, she's 11, I listened to her heartbeat with my old stethoscope from my nursing days, and it was so fast I couldn't count it. And I said, Chris, my husband, we have to take her now. I drove her to the emergency room. She did not sit down in the intake. They immediately took her back to a room and proceeded to discover that she now has type 1 diabetes and was in a situation called diabetic ketoacidosis. Our pH levels and our bloodstream are supposed to be between 7.35 and 7.45. So there's 1/10 of a variation that your body is able to manage and keep it within that range. Just by doing all of the things, unless something is wrong. Her blood sugar was 320 and her pH level was 6.92. She was breathing 60 breaths a minute. Her heart rate sitting down was over 160 beats per minute. Her blood pressure was 140 over 108. And she wasn't blowing off any more CO2, which means that she had used that up. And she was possibly very close to coma and death. I am so grateful, beyond grateful, that I did not allow my fear of the medical industry to stop me from taking her in because she'd be dead. I am so beyond grateful that I trusted the medical industry, which I did not believe in 1,000,000% up until this point, and I'm still struggling. However, we now have answers to the weight loss that she had been going through for months. We now have answers to the irritability that she was going through, and that it wasn't just prepubescent irritability and, she's going to get her period soon, and that's why she's bitchy all the time. We now have answers to why her legs were hurting. We now have answers to her low energy, her fatigue, everything. In the last 2 weeks, especially when she was with my parents, she was drinking excessive amounts of water, but nobody even triggered into it. And so if you are a parent finding this video with a type 1 diabetic kid and your kid went into DKA, I want you to know I was a nurse for 8.5 years. I worked high-risk labor and delivery, I worked ICU, and I also worked hospice. I have a wide range of expertise and knowledge and wisdom from the journey that I took as a nurse for 8.5 years. She was around after a year of not seeing these people. She went and saw our family in Durham by herself, and she was with them for 10 days. My older sister, who's 16 years older, was a nurse at Duke University Hospital in the emergency room for 30 years. She was with my mother, who was an old person nurse, for 20 some years. And she was with my sister's husband, who was a paramedic for however many years, a decade at least, maybe longer, an EMT before that. He had first-hand experience for what this looked like. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. There were questions. There was like, that seems a little strange, but nobody knew. They say that it's an autoimmune illness, that you have the genetic factors for it. Something kicks it into gear, and then something officially triggers it way farther into gear, like we experienced Friday night, and that was the food poisoning. They said it's often a viral illness, a food poisoning, a very stressful event can cause it to kick in, and so that's why it finally came to the surface. So they explained, because in my head I'm like, we've parasite cleansed. Did I kill her pancreas? We have eat a plant-based diet. Did I kill her pancreas? We've done all of these things. Did I kill her pancreas? And the answer is no. It was genetic. So then I went back and I was like, I had a fever at 32 weeks pregnant with her and was given multiple loads of antibiotics and almost delivered her. They told me that I would die if I didn't deliver her. And that I had chorioamnionitis. I can't even talk. Chorio, which is an infection of the uterine lining of the uterus, and so it can infect mom and baby, cause sepsis, and you both die. And I refused a C-section and continued to carry to 41 weeks and had a perfectly healthy pregnancy. But that was because I knew the signs and symptoms, and I wasn't afraid to wait a little bit longer, and I'm glad I did. But all of those interventions during pregnancy, taking Zofran, they told me that Zofran was safe during pregnancy. Apparently it causes cardiac illness or chronic cardiac issues in children and adults, and it also causes cleft palate and all of these other things. They didn't know. How do we know that it doesn't cause type 1 diabetes? You're taking that in the first trimester. There were all of these factors that could have caused this. So nothing that I did as a parent that I knowingly did caused this. And that was like the biggest thing that I needed to come into terms with in this whole process. Once she was in the ER, it felt very scary. I felt very upset because I hadn't thought all this process through. I've been thinking, I'm a Virgo, I think all the time. It's taken me 48 hours to come to terms. No, only 36 hours to come to terms with all this, which is much quicker than a lot of people, but it's because of my knowledge, my background, and then my knowledge and background and wisdom for what I've done with a plant-based diet, what I've done with being different from the norm and choosing to rise above and be a whole new human being and cure the incurable, right? I'm like trying not to get pulled over, but I've got a reason, so they may or may not listen to it. So let's see. I'm still checking on the popo behind me. We went to our Outer Banks hospital, which is a 24-bed hospital. It is a quick in and out, we hope you don't die, we're shipping you to a different center, peace, love, namaste kind of hospital. We stayed there for as long as they really wanted us to stay. She got 3 IVs placed in her arm, and then the ambulance came from the Children's Hospital, which is an hour and a half away in Virginia. She rode with a PICU nurse, pediatric ICU nurse, up with also a paramedic and I think an EMT, and rested the whole way. She was already doing so much better after starting the insulin drip in the ER. When she got to the hospital, the Children's Hospital in Virginia, she was triaged in the ER still, and then moved to the pediatric ICU at 4 o'clock in the morning. By noon, her numbers were already balancing out so much that they were ready to transition her. And they said that's pretty rare that she was transitioning so quickly. Most kids, when they come in, their sugars are so high, they can't drop them down so quickly, but her sugar was only 320, which is great. And she already was down to 90s and possibly a 55. I'm guessing it was like a 75 though, but they had pulled it off of her IV, and so it was probably a little bit diluted and gave a wonky number of 55. They started her on subcutaneous insulin at noon. By 1 o'clock, they removed her IV insulin, and she was able to eat a meal. She then ate dinner. She then got another long-term acting insulin injection last night and proceeded to have less than 120 blood sugar levels throughout the whole night. My heart is singing because I know that this means that we are on top of it. We are eating so healthy that it's not sending her sugars through the roof. Now here's where I'm going to get spiritual. I prayed my entire way to Virginia. I listened to worship music. I messaged my friend Corey, who lives in Las Vegas doing missionary work. He prayed for our family. I cried as his prayers came through. And he inspired me to be the light. And he inspired me to be different. And he told me that I was here to do this, speaking for me through God, or speaking for God through him to me. And he's right. Lily and I have a purpose on this journey of changing the medical expectations. We're here to give people hope. That's been a huge word coming in loud and clear this whole time. Our nurse was named Hope. And what a blessing she was. The first book that the doctor pulled out of the book bag. Big word on the front of it, like that was the biggest word, hope. Hope Street, driving home. I have hope that we are here to make extensive change within the medical industry, because you know why? We are the first family that these people have ever experienced to eat as healthy as we do. When I said we eat a whole foods plant-based diet that is vegan, we do not eat any eggs, meat, dairy, or any refined sugar processed ingredients. And I check every label and I try to remain as gluten-free as possible. And they were like, I said, can you feed her while we are here? And they said no. I had maybe 3 hours of sleep in 24 hours. And so I drove my 3 hours of sleep plus all of the anxiety, all of the brokenness, all of the feelings of failure. I drove all of that to Wegmans in Virginia Beach, which was like 15 minutes away. Shopped through that ginormous store for any foods that I would possibly have shopped for at home. I spent $204 making sure we had every snack known to man, every food known to man, aside from cooked veggies and aside from anything like that I would be making at home that's easier, because I can't really cut fruits and vegetables. They won't let me bring my butcher knife into the hospital. You know, it is what it is. So I got all of it so that we could figure out and start our journey with this whole foods plant-based diet that she's on, and figure out what the best management's going to be for that. She only required 1 dose of long-acting insulin all night long to keep her blood sugars less than 120. I have all the hope in the world that this is our path, and that we couldn't be the lights that we're being called to be had we not gone through the crisis that we just went through. The fact that the hospital does not have those options to feed their patients is mind-blowing to me. And I understand from the perspective that they want children to eat, and so they're going to provide the kids with the foods that they're used to eating. But if the hospital doesn't stand up to set the example, what do these people have to follow except the commercials that are being told and programmed to them on the television that will essentially keep them sick for life? Because if you're sick, you're connected to the system, you are reliant on the system, and you are paying into the system not only through your food, but through your illness and your death eventually as well. We're here to change all that. I don't know if it's going to start through writing letters. I'm pretty sure it's going to start through writing letters. It's going to start by having meetings with these hospital administrative staff. If we want to fix our broken ass healthcare system, it has to start with the food. It has to come straight from the food. And to feed diabetic kids chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, deli meat, and cheese, it is only feeding into their illness. It's the only thing that it's doing is feeding into their illness. When we're in the storm of life, and we're in that darkness, we're in that hurricane, you can't see what's outside of the walls of that hurricane, you're just in it. And it's scary, and it's terrifying, and it is an unknown, and you don't know if you're going to make it out alive. But there's just an island on the other side. There's this beautiful, pristine, perfect island, and it's got all the coconuts, all of the mangoes, all of the papaya, all of the beautiful, massive things that you need. There's no bugs. You're able to lay on the beach, and there's like perfect spring water that you can drink from the middle of this island. And it's just pristine beauty. But you can't get there, or you can't see it because you're stuck in the storm. And this is a speech that I gave not only Lily yesterday, but my mother as well. And Lily nodded and started to have it like click in and go wheels spin around. My mother, she said, well, I don't believe in that. And I said, Mom, remember when I was in the storm? Remember when I was bipolar? Remember when I was suicidal? Remember when I was in the psychiatric hospital? Remember when I was addicted to all those drugs? That was the storm. We couldn't see past the mother trucking storm. It was real ugly. And we were in that hurricane for years. We were in the outsides of the hurricane for decades. We were in that mother trucking storm for a long time. Guess what? This is the beauty standing on the other side of the storm. Somebody that's able to live their best life to the fullest. I no longer take or require any medication and have not for 7 years. And you should have seen all the eyeballs of all the physicians, nurses, and everybody that were like, really? Yeah, there is a possibility for change in the incurable. We just have to believe in it, and we have to do differently than what's been told to us and the programming that's been told to us. With one YouTube search this morning, I discovered that there's already people out there trying to break through these walls that we've been placed in of this is the way it is, this is how your life is, and there's no other coming back from it. There's already people breaking that down. I did not see children in the list of people breaking through these barriers. So that's part of our journey. I have not had time to research. I have not had time to listen, but I have a knowing in my heart. I have a faith in my heart that God has put us into this position to help others, because through me changing through bipolar, through me growing through drug addiction, through me doing all of these things, I have helped hundreds, if not thousands of people through me telling one person my journey, and they go tell somebody else that journey, and they go tell somebody else, and it starts to blossom out. We have the opportunity ahead of us to speak the truth, and we have the opportunity ahead of us to make change and provide answers and hope and wisdom and guidance for those that are going through this and want those answers but aren't getting them from the medical industry that they are subscribed to at this moment. So I know that that's our purpose. There's been some things to come up in this process as well, but I have faith. I have faith in God, and I have faith that this is all going to be okay. And if it means that I have to send a $25 check to the Children's Hospital every month for the rest of my life, I don't care. Apparently, we've been on Medicaid since 2016 when I first quit the nursing profession that I was working in. And our children have had Medicaid insurance. I think my husband and I have also had Medicaid. But now that we started our juicing business, I believe we make too much money for Medicaid now. And we have been dropped from the Medicaid program, which means that this weekend was a very fun and expensive expedition to the hospital. Probably bordering, my guesstimation's gonna be about around $30,000. That's my guesstimation over this last weekend. I'll be pleasantly surprised if it's less than that, and I will be unhappily surprised if it's more than that. But I will tell you, I'm gonna be writing some letters about how I needed to go out of my way to provide food for my hospital because they didn't have one healthy item in that place. I'm trying to watch my language. I was so angry, cussing up a storm in Wegmans yesterday on the phone to Christopher. Like, why do I have to be effing at the grocery store and my kid's in the effing ICU trying to find our effing food to eat? That should never have happened. Ever. Because our hospital systems should be feeding the population what they expect them to eat. But they feed them the shit that's going to continue to progressively kill them in their illness, that they will be addicted to the medications that they need to survive for the rest of their life. End rant. So we're here to make some changes. We're here to grow. I don't care that I have a $30,000 bill going to a hospital. I know that through time I will be able to pay it off. I know that I'll be provided for. I'm not going to let that fear hold me back through helping our daughter. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Oh, this ain't good. This ain't good so bad. Oh, God. All right, give me 1 second. Actually, no. I think I've talked enough. I'm going to... pull over to the side real quick and scrounge up $4 change to get through the toll booth because I forgot my wallet at home. And we're gonna go through there. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. I am so grateful to be able to share this journey with you guys. I am so grateful that we have the support and the love from our community that is coming up in droves. If you would like to make a donation to our journey to help us pay these medical costs, we would love to take it. It's been a huge journey covering Lucky's medical costs, my horse of 19 years. And so now to be paying out of pocket for all of these medications and for all of these programs and for all of the things we're going to need to do, that's a little bit stressful. So if you would like to donate to that cause, we would appreciate your generosity in any way, shape, and form that you want to show that. That generosity could come in the form of helping to care for our other two youngins while we're doing doctor's visits and all of those things. That could come in many different forms. So support and love and prayers are always helpful, even if you can't donate. I want to send you all so much love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. With all that said, I'm going to sign off. So much peace, so much love, so much namaste to you guys. Adios, my friends. Peace.